Hey guys, it's Brooke, and for the first day of my 13 days of Taylor, I am going to be telling my history as a Taylor Swift fan. So I'm doing this series where I'm making 13, because that's her number, related Taylor Swift videos in the 13 days leading up to me getting to see Taylor live in concert in Atlanta. And seeing her is a big deal to me, and you will find out why as this story unravels. So I feel like me telling you the complete history will kind of give context to every video after this and why things are so significant to me. Yes, I am being this level of extra right now. So my first exposure to Taylor Swift was in 2007 when I was 6 years old. And I remember Teardrops on My Guitar came on the radio and I thought it was really, really good. I loved the song. I mean, I was 6. I loved it. So I remember I went home and I got on my grandparents' computer and I looked up that song on YouTube and I watched the music video for it. And I remember, like, in the Teardrops on My Guitar video, there's that scene where she's like laying on her bed and she has the guitar right here and she's holding onto it and she has like the really sparkly eyeshadow and she's wearing like the green dress, and I just remember thinking that was like the most beautiful thing in the world. And then, you know, for the next year or so, I would hear her songs on the radio. I knew Teardrops on My Guitar, obviously Picture to Burn. When I was in, I think, 2nd grade, my friend Caitlin really liked her song, Should Have Said No, and we would always sing that. So then it rolls around to 2008 when Fearless came out. And I had just turned 7. My birthday is the week before Christmas, exactly a week before Christmas, December 18th. And I had gotten money for my birthday and Christmas. And it was around New Year's, which was around when that album came out. And I was at the mall and I had my birthday and Christmas money and I went to an FYE and they had the whole setup out of all the albums, or all the different album copies of Fearless. And I bought myself a copy of Fearless, and that is the very first CD and the very first like copy of physical music that I ever bought with my own money, which is really important to me and means a lot to me now, considering I am a music collector and I collect vinyl and I collect CDs and I love music so much. That being the first piece of music that I bought ever, because I mean I didn't have like an MP3 player before this, so that was the first music that I ever bought. That was really special to me, and that album continued to be something that was special in my life. And you know, that was when she blew up, really, was that album, and everything was Taylor Swift. And I listened to that album every day and I loved 15. That was like my favorite song. And you know, the Love Story video came out and she was the princess girl and she did the You Belong With Me video. And I remember my mom, she had my little sister in April of 2008. So it was, you know, a few months after this had come out. And I'm not sure when exactly the You Belong With Me music video came out. I remember it being a big deal, but I don't remember exactly when it came out. But my mom used to always stay up late watching TV while my little sister was awake at night. And I remember one day she saw the You Belong With Me music video on TV and she told me the next day, she was like, "This is genius." So me being 7 was tickled by that. And I also have this really random distinct memory of listening to Radio Disney around that same time. And they were playing White Horse off of Fearless. And I remember they had Mitchell Musso from Hannah Montana, who was Oliver Oaken. And he was like, "This is my favorite Taylor Swift song of all time." I just remember that really well. From then on out, you know, I loved her. I talked about her all the time. Another time I was with my dad and my stepmom, and she had announced the Fearless tour. And I've talked about this before. This is where the concert part starts coming into play. I guess I said something like, I really want to see her in a concert. And so we looked it up, and she had the Fearless tour stuff on her website. I remember pulling it up on her website and it being the white and gold, and it had all the dates. And I assume we looked at Atlanta. I really have no idea because they lived in South Carolina at the time. So I don't know what date we looked at, but whatever date they, I guess, thought they could take me to was sold out. And me, my 7-8-year-old self, we were in a hotel, and there was like, you know, a little table in the hotel with chairs, and like they had the computer open on the table and the bed was behind it, and I just like fell back on the bed and then uttered the very first cuss word I ever said, which was just the D word. But when you're 7, that's not really approved of. And that's pretty much what I've said about every Taylor tour since then. That's an iconic story. You know, I would have the Twist magazines and the J14 and the Pop Star and all that stuff, and it would talk about all her relationships. I knew about her and Joe Jonas. I knew about her and Taylor Lautner. I knew about all these things, and I just loved everything that she did. And I remember really specifically when Mine came out as a single off of Speak Now, and it was the summertime, and my best friend Anna used to come stay at my grandparents' house with me all the time here, and we would always sing stuff. We thought that we were the next Hannah Montana, and we would always go around singing stuff. And I have this really clear memory of us walking around my grandparents' yard singing Mine by Taylor Swift, and they have like a sunroom that has like couches and recliners in it, and they always go take a nap out there every afternoon. And I remember so clearly walking up under where that sunroom is outside, because it's like a balcony type thing, walking through there singing Mine by Taylor Swift so loud, and them coming out on the porch and yelling at us. I don't know why, I just remember that. And then Christmas of that year, which must have been 2010 at this point, I got Speak Now on CD, which I loved. And I remember that year for Christmas, which was crazy because I was only 10 years old, but like my stepmom and my dad got me a ring from Jared that had a ruby in it, which I loved. I was very excited about it. But my favorite thing that I got for Christmas that year was that Taylor Swift CD. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it is not. I loved that CD. I still do. I think I might still have that one somewhere. All of my CDs that I had when I was like under the age of 12, I didn't treat very well, and I don't know where a lot of them are, which makes me sad. I really wish I still had that copy of Fearless. I might somewhere. I probably have the disc somewhere, but I don't have the case. And I remember, I don't know if it was Christmas Day or the day after Christmas, but my grandmother took me and my older cousin Sebastian, who's 2 years older than me, and he was kind of like my brother when I was younger, and took us to see some movie either on Christmas or the day after Christmas. We don't normally go to the movies on Christmas, so it probably was the day after. Brought the CD with us in the car because she would always let me play like whatever I wanted on the car radio. And I brought the CD with us, and I was sitting in the back seat and he was sitting in the front seat, and I was playing that album, and he was like a 12-year-old boy at this point, so he obviously was not having Taylor Swift. And so I remember Never Grow Up came on, and he was like, "This is such a weird song." And that is like the first of many experiences I have had of feeling ashamed of what kind of music I listened to. That was the very first one. Thanks. That to this day is a fantastic song, one of my favorites of all time, so whatever, Sebastian. But that just like sticks out in my head as being like such a distinct thing. Like, what is this? This is such a weird song. And I was like, I love this album. Don't talk about Taylor that way. The very first perfume I bought ever, Taylor Swift Wonderstruck, got an ad for it in the magazine. I think it was like Christmas of 2011, I might be wrong on that. Ordered it off Amazon. I doused myself in it every day. My mom told me it gave her a headache because I would put on like 10 squirts of this stuff. Like, it wasn't a normal amount of perfume. Like, that was the first thing I ever got. The next year it got Enchanted. I remember probably summer of 2011, 12, somewhere in there, when We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together came out. I loved the music video so much. But then around this time, around the Red era, there was Trouble in Paradise that I was originally okay with. See, Taylor got pushed to the side a little bit in the 2011-2012 time frame because your girl right here discovered One Direction, and that overtook my life, and they were my love. I really paid more attention to them than I did to her. I mean, I still listen to her some. I had like an iPod at this point. I had her songs on my iPod, but I was full-blown 2012 One Direction. And knowing me, the biggest Harry girl ever. Harry girl, that always sounds so weird. I'm a super Harry girl. Fall 2012, Taylor and Harry start dating. And from the get-go, I loved them together. I was like, this is a power couple, okay? This is like my favorite female singer, Harry, who's my favorite person ever, and I was like, you know, kind of upset that he's not in love with me, even though I'm 11, but, you know, if he has to date someone who's not me, why not her? And I, like, loved them together, and, you know, it was a very short-lived romance, which I'm sure you recall, if you kept up with it at the time, or have even researched it now. And I remember like one day in, I think, December, watching MTV, and it was like talking about them, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. But then something happened. I started going around on the internet that I Knew You Were Trouble was about Harry. And this was around the time that Red came out. And there had been like rumors that she had like said at an award show that like thing where she was like, and the person who I wrote this about knows exactly who he is, and like everyone thought it was Harry. And like I was just reading like online, like I'm 12, okay? I was just reading online people saying like, oh, this is about Harry. I can't believe she wrote this about Harry. It took me a really long time to realize that that made no sense because the Red album came out while/before she was dating Harry. So that doesn't make any sense, but I got a little bit fed up with her for a while. And, you know, this was 2012, going into 2013 fandom. Take Me Home had just come out. Like, this was the glory days of being a One Direction fan. So I was like, okay, you know, F you. And I don't think I really said that, but I was mad at her for a solid while. I'm not gonna say a year, but like I missed the peak of the Red era, which is so disappointing because Red is my favorite album by her. So later on, 2013, in the summer, I'm still 12. I get my very first iPhone, and I make an Instagram, and I make a Twitter, and I think I made a Vine, and all this stuff, and I have, you know, full access to the internet fandom world. And I pieced together, I Knew You Were Trouble is not about Harry Styles. And I was like, oh, I can go back to liking this person that I've looked up to for 6 years now. Great. And so then I looked up Red and I was just blown away by it. I remember I thought that album was the best thing in the whole world, and I still kind of do. But I remember I was obsessed with Starlight, Lucky One, and songs like that, like kind of the deeper cuts from the album. And I was in love with those songs. And I had kind of like heard 22 and stuff like that on the radio, and I did like those, but I remember I just like fell in love with the deep cut songs on the album, like Holy Ground, The Lucky One, Starlight. And I was obsessed. And I remember there's this really terrible selfie of me when I was 12 that's still on my Instagram, and I captioned it some kind of lyrics from Starlight. I think it was like the part where it's like, and I would do like really long lyric captions back then, so I would put like an entire verse of a song as my caption. And I think it's, he said, look at you worrying so much about things you can't change. You'll spend your whole life singing the blues if you keep thinking that way. And it was probably longer than that. I feel like I definitely put Don't You Dream Impossible Things in there somewhere. So, yeah. I'm back on the Taylor bus, full throttle. And I remember that summer of 2013, I'm still full on One Direction. Okay, that still hasn't gone away. I'm full throttle One Direction, but I'm also like, I'm back on the Taylor bus. It was probably really only like a 6-month period of me hating her, but it just feels like a long time. I feel like that was a long time in the One Direction fandom. So we're back. I missed basically the tour and the era for my favorite album by her, and I'm getting to the age now where like I can actually go to concerts, and I am approaching, you know, my hipster emo grunge. 2013 was grunge, okay? That's what 2013 was. So I'm approaching that phase. Like, we're kind of coming out of the 2012 Tumblr girl phase with like the hats and like the Arizona tee, and we're entering into like the 2014 flannel grunge phase. So like it's like kind of a transition period here in 2013, and I have just gotten my first iPhone and I'm all like up on the internet. And so I really missed a prime opportunity to be into Red, because Red is such a hipster album. It really is. Like, but I love it. Like, it's my favorite. Like, that's my album. Like, You Never Met One Girl Who Had As Many James Taylor Records As You. Some indie record that's much better than mine. Pretty much everything about 22. I don't know, like that album, like just the whole concept of The Lucky One being about Joni Mitchell, Starlight, that's just like a hipster song. I just like, I missed a primal opportunity, and I'm not gonna let it happen again. Like, I don't care what she does. Did something like absolutely terrible, I'm sure I would not still support her, but she hasn't. Then, you know, full throttle Taylor. So we get into 2014, I'm full on in the grunge era stuff. I am full on emo, black eyeliner this thick. That is my time. And the singles for 1989 start coming out, and I get really into them. Especially, I remember the day that Blank Space came out, I was hooked. And the day that 1989 came out, or the Saturday after, it probably came out on a Friday, and I went to Target like the Saturday after, and I bought a t-shirt, I still have it, that's like, just has the album cover on it, but it's like a Ringer t-shirt that they had that was a Target exclusive, and I bought the deluxe, the Target DLX version of the thing, and I got all the little Polaroid pictures out, and I pinned them up on my wall, which I actually just took down recently, because I put something else on that wall. Those were honestly up for a long time, and I was obsessed with that album. I still love that album, and I thought it was the best thing in the whole world, and kind of still do. And I listened to it, and I was, you know, in the fandom. So yeah, I was back on the Taylor train, and I remember I was obsessed. Even the songs that were about Harry, I was like, I like this. At first I didn't like Out of the Woods, but like it's grown on me. Honestly, the monsters turned out to be just trees is one of my favorite lyrics of all time. So it's grown on me, and that album has just like gotten better with time. Like as I've gotten older, some of those songs mean so much more to me, but it's also just like a really well-rounded pop album, and I love it. When the 1989 tickets went on sale, I waited up on Ticketmaster when they went on sale. I was at my dad's house, and we waited and we waited and we waited, and the second they went on sale, they sold out, and all the resale tickets were like $500 up until the day of the concert. So I didn't get to go to that. I was mad. And then, you know, she had all the conflicts. She disappeared. If you're up to date, you know all of that. Roll around to last year. It is 2017. We are pressed here in the Taylor Swift fandom that she did not release an album in November of 2016 because she broke the cycle, okay? We're pressed. So it's August of 2017, almost a year ago. Look What You Made Me Do came out, and Homegirl starts advertising the Reputation tour and the Reputation tour verified fan thing. And even though I didn't like it's still not my favorite, but like I will sing along to it. But like even though Look What You Made Me Do was not my fave when it first came out, I was like, I am going to see Taylor this time. So verified fan, y'all do not know how many times I watched that Look What You Made Me Do lyric video, music video, the AT&T Now video, there was something else, the Look What You Made Me Do behind the scenes video. You don't know, like I was up, like I need to look up how many boosts that I had. I was like the boost queen. I ordered like 4 copies of that CD and bought it on iTunes to get my boost, okay? I was gonna get tickets for that concert. And I did. And that brings us to here. And I love Reputation, and I love Taylor, and I feel like she's all I ever talk about. But that is kind of how I got to where I am now. And now I'm seeing her in 13 days, and all of my childhood dreams are coming true. And it's really special to me, and it's really full circle because I've been trying to see her since 2008. And I was talking about in 2008 when my sister had just been born, the You Belong With Me video came out. And now my sister is 10 and she likes Taylor Swift, and she's going with me to the concert. And this is her first concert ever, which is so special. And it's Taylor, and that just makes me really happy because I've grown up with Taylor so much, and she has too, but in a different way. And that's just gonna be such a good moment, and I'm so excited. And that's just going to be a really meaningful day for me because Taylor means a lot to me. My sister means a lot to me, not as much as Taylor does. No, I'm kidding. Anyways, yeah guys, so that is my Swiftie history and the first day of 13 days of Taylor. Make sure to tune in tomorrow for another Taylor related video. Bye guys.